And we are live. Welcome to Olivia's Stories, ladies and gentlemen. I have learned that if you have kids around, you need to always hide things in a very deep and sacred place where they won't get them. You know, my kids are very smart for their age, and the pictures that they found while hunting for their favorite Christmas spy almost ruined everything. You know, it almost tore the family apart. Our Christmas Day mood went from 100% mood to a 0 real quick. I really regret what my past almost did to my family. I am still in disbelief that my deepest and darkest secret, something I had thought I had hidden and even forgot about, would be found by my own children. The worst part was that my husband saw them too. I had left my previous life behind, but I guess every dark and dirty past will always come back and haunt you in the future, if you do not deal with it and be honest about it. I still don't know what to do. Please advise me on this one. I am shattered. What I had thought would be a very good day with the family became the worst and dull day of my life. Now I am on the verge of losing everything because of pictures. I do not know how to deal with this. It's hurting me so much, and my kids no longer look at me the same. What should I do? Let me break it down for you quickly so you can get the picture of what really had transpired. My name is Stephanie, female 28. I am married to David, male 28. Well, David and I got married right after we graduated from college 4 years ago. I can say he is my high school lover. Even though we were not studying in the same high school then, we studied at the same college. We fell in love in a most unexpected way. I mean, he was an IT, the most wanted guy at school, and I was just an ordinary girl who grew up in a not-so-good background. I won't say I am proud of my background and where I am coming from, but it has taught me a lot about who I am and about life. You know, when a person with a bad background as mine says, I have tasted poverty and did some things I'm not proud of, but I did them to survive. And I have also tasted good life with so much happiness and love. So do not think, just because I am now living the life I had always wanted to live, you can easily break me and take me back to where I was. I am now a qualified urologic. I deal with male issues mostly, while I am also running a nonprofit organization for people with a background like mine. My husband and I have beautiful twins who are super naughty but wouldn't trade them for anything. I got them in my first year in college. It was a bit challenging having to focus on your studies while pregnant, especially with twins, but my husband was there throughout the whole pregnancy journey. My twins are now 9 years old, and they are the most precious gift that God has ever given me. So I grew up in a small town of Tupelo in Mississippi. I was raised by a very violent and abusive aunt since my mother was late, and I don't even know my father. I grew up having that space of needing a father's love, attention, and protection. You know, everything that I was going through at home was unbearable to a point that I had to go out there and hustle so that my aunt would stop complaining. It was a very tough time for me, because on the other side, I still had to focus at school and make sure that I passed all my grades, so I would be able to get out of the bad background. Sometimes I would wish my mother was still alive, but she passed on when I was too young. So my aunt took me in. I will always appreciate that because none of the family members wanted to take me in, so my aunt took it upon herself to take me in. A lot had happened when my mother passed on because the other family members had taken my mother's house. Meaning, if my aunt didn't take me in, I would have been a junkie maybe somewhere, sleeping under bridges. When I was in 6th grade, my aunt took me to the brothel that she once owned. I couldn't believe that she would take me to that disgusting place and actually tell me that if I still wanted to live in her house, I would have to meet her halfway and hustle. I first didn't understand what she was talking about. I mean, I was only 13 years. In my mind, I was asking myself, why would Auntie Jade introduce me to that filthy place? I mean, I would have tried other hustling options like selling sweets at school or something, but she wanted me to work at her brothel. I had no choice but to take her offer because she even threatened to kick me out of the house and deprive me food. She told me that as a woman I had to hustle, so I would not sleep on an empty stomach. I missed my mother every day during my first time in the brothel. My aunt introduced me to some old men, saying that they were my clients. Mind you, that time, I didn't even know what the word client meant. So my aunt wanted me to do the dance for those old men and give them a show. Time passed. When I was 17, I had gotten used to the hustling and I had become a sex worker. I would get clients who needed sexual desires. There were also regulars that would only need my service. I was grateful at the fact that my aunt allowed me to go to school because that was not the life I had planned to have. So I made sure to work my butt off at school, so I would at least get a scholarship to go to college, so I would leave the hellhole. So one day, David was visiting his grandmother in the neighborhood. That was when I actually met him. Well, more like he had moved to live with his grandmother, because I found out about 2 days later that he was going to study at Tupelo High School when my aunt told me that I should play far from him. My aunt had some issues with affording people, I think, because she would always find a way or something bad to say about them. David and I became friends for a year in high school, despite my aunt's disapproval. I didn't tell David about my hustling side. I knew I had to tell him, but I didn't know how to, so I vowed to keep it to myself for as long as I live. I was too ashamed to even share what had been going on at home because I was scared of being judged. And I had thoughts that maybe he would no longer want to be my boyfriend because of my background. My aunt's brothel used to have cameras for safety purposes, so everything we did, even every client we satisfied, we got recorded just in case they wanted to take advantage of us. When I was accepted at William Carey University College of Osteopathic Medicine, I was ecstatic. One, I was glad that I would finally get a chance to live at my aunt's house and chase my goals. Even though my aunt didn't want me to go, saying who would look after the business and take care of his clients if I was not there. That time, I knew that if I didn't stand up for myself and my aunt's abusive behavior, I would never escape, and I needed to chase my dreams. Little did I know that in my first year in college, I would get pregnant and my scholarship was taken away. That was the most heartbreaking episode that I had gone through. Luckily, the peanuts that my aunt would give me after I had finished with my job, I had managed to save them, even though it was not going to be enough for the whole 4 years of study. During that time, I had to focus at school while working as a waitress in one of the nearby restaurants. David was there with me during the whole pregnancy journey, and I appreciated his support and love. Later on in my pregnancy, I had moved in with David. Our relationship had its own fair share of ups and downs, but we managed to get through every circumstance. It was a bit challenging having to take care of the children while focusing at work. I would sometimes slack on something until David suggested that we get a nanny for our kids because we were both in college, so we had to focus. Few years later, we got married during summer holidays. Before we got married, I think a few months before David and I got married, I got a call from my aunt's friend and neighbor, Auntie Haley, telling me that I had to come to my aunt's house she had passed on. I know that I should have felt some kind of hurt, or at least cry, because she had taken me into her home and groomed me, even though it wasn't a very pleasant grooming. But I felt nothing. I wasn't happy, nor sad. Is that even normal? So I told David what Aunt Haley had told me, and to my surprise, he already knew. His grandmother had told him. So we decided to go down to Tupelo for my aunt's burial ceremony. After we came back from the cemetery, Auntie Haley called me aside and gave me a box saying that it had everything that was dear to my aunt and some letters that she had left for me. I didn't understand why my aunt would leave letters for me, but I brushed that off. Then a few months later, David and I got married. It was the happiest day of my life. That time, our children had just turned 4 years old. They grew up to be the most precious thing that had ever happened to our lives. I still thank God every day for giving me a chance to see them grow every day. I somehow wished my mother was present to see me walking down the aisle with my best friend, my lover, and the father of my kids. Life became gloomy and very bright for my little family. I also got a chance to be an obstetrician, which was what I had always wanted to be, especially after my past job that my aunt had introduced me to. I found it more important and interesting to know more about women's problems and their health. I didn't get that chance when I was still living with my aunt, but now I do have a chance to help those who went through what I had also been through. So my family, my husband, and my kids came up with a tradition that every Christmas, kids will get a chance to hunt for their Christmas spy every Christmas morning. We started that tradition when they were 3 years old, and we saw that they enjoyed hunting for a Christmas, so we continued doing it for them. My kids love running around. They are too active, and when they hunt for something, they make sure to look everywhere. That time we had gotten a new house, so they were not used to it much. And that time we had invited David's family. It was going to be their first Christmas with us in our new house. You know, it didn't come to me that I should move the box from where I had put it. I didn't even get a clue that I should move it. Another thing, ever since I had gotten it, I had never found time to open it. I don't know why, but I didn't feel like opening it. It was like I was angry or holding a grudge against my aunt, I don't know. Christmas Day came, I was preparing for the Christmas lunch, and the kids went wherever they had gone around the house. And I knew that if they get quiet, they would be up to nothing good. My kids can be mischievous a lot, so if you don't see them in more than 20 minutes or 30, you will have to look for them wherever they are. While I was rummaging through our storage room to find the kids and to check if they found the jingle, little did I know that an unexpected twist awaited the family. As I was searching for the mischievous kids, I found them in the storage room looking at some things. So as I went further in to see what they were looking at, I stumbled upon a box labeled Old Memories. Curiosity got the better of me, and she decided to take a peek inside. Mind you, the whole family had been looking for the kids also, because the house became so quiet without them. So as I went further in, I got the shock of my life. To my shock and dismay, I discovered a forgotten box of old photographs. As I leafed through the pictures, I realized that they were not the innocent family snapshots I had expected. Instead, they were explicit and inappropriate images that should never have been mixed with our cherished memories. I had long forgotten about the box that Aunt Haley once gave me, so the kids had opened it and found a lot of pictures and discs, along with a couple of letters that my aunt had written for me. My eyes were wide open and heart pounding. I realized the gravity of the situation. I knew I had to act quickly to prevent Lily and Ethan, the twins, from discovering more inappropriate photos. But I was already late. With a heavy heart, I carefully packed the box away and decided to just leave the room. I was embarrassed, humiliated, and shattered because the things I had thought I had buried with my past were actually catching up on me, in front of my husband's family and my kids. I didn't know how to react to my kids. They were looking at me with different eyes, of which I understood, because if I was the one finding my mother's inappropriate pictures, I would be traumatized. David came after me and asked about the pictures. I was lost in words. I didn't even know where to start explaining the ordeal. I knew I had to come clean to him about everything, with the hope that he would understand. The whole Christmas day got ruined. As much as the family tried to bring up the spark and laughter on the table so that the day would continue going smoothly, it was no longer the same as before they had seen the inappropriate pictures. I also got uncomfortable because I had told David that we would speak in the evening when we are alone. So, that evening, after putting the kids to bed, I sat down with David, his face filled with concern. I started sharing the shocking discovery with him, tears welling up in my eyes. I told him everything about my past and the things that I had to do to survive at my aunt's house. David's initial reaction mirrored my expectations. I had expected him to be angry and throw tantrums, but that didn't happen. Instead, he got angry at the fact that I continued doing the job that my aunt wanted me to do even when we were in a relationship. He just left the room and went out. That day, he didn't even sleep in our bedroom. I was heartbroken and had so many questions in my mind, like why would my aunt tell Aunt Haley to give me that box knowing very well that I was in a relationship with David and we were engaged? I didn't believe how cruel my aunt could get, and to think of how I would look at my kids after what they had discovered. The pictures of me with a grown man who looked old enough to be my father. The pictures of me dancing for those men with big pot bellies. To the pictures of me in the room with one of the clients that were my regulars, busy satisfying his sexual desires. It was too much to deal with, and I had told myself that I was definitely losing my husband. The following day, I had locked myself up in the bedroom. I was too ashamed to face the family and my kids. I didn't even want to see their reactions when they saw me, because I was convinced that they would look at me with disgusting eyes. So David came into the bedroom, and he wanted us to talk. Mind you, that time my mind had already told me that I was losing my husband. The divorce word kept ringing in my head, and it was like I was losing my mind. I had never thought of myself losing my husband after so many years we had been together and after all the struggles we had faced. So before he said anything, I told him that I understood his behavior and would understand if he wanted to leave me because of my past. As I was saying that, tears were streaming down my face. My heart was breaking into many pieces. But to my surprise, he didn't judge me. Instead, he told me that he had expected me to come clean to him since he is my partner, but the past would never determine our purpose and goals. My heart was at ease a little when I heard him say that. Then together we grappled with the best course of action. From that day, We both knew that we had to protect our children from any inappropriate content they accidentally stumbled upon. I know it was careless of me to leave the box in the storage room, while I knew that my kids were naughty and mischievous. So after much discussion, we decided to seek professional guidance for the kids. We contacted a family therapist who specializes in child psychology, hoping to navigate the difficult conversation with Lily and Ethan in a safe and supportive manner. The following day, me, my husband and kids, gathered in the therapist's office. With a calm and empathetic approach, the therapist guided David and I on how to address the situation with our children. Together, we crafted a plan to explain the unexpected discovery while emphasizing the importance of personal boundaries and appropriate content. In a gentle and age-appropriate manner, my husband and I sat down with Lily and Ethan to have an open conversation. We had to do it earlier than later. So we explained that while searching for Jingle, that they ended up giving up on finding it, and explained about the ordeal that they accidentally stumbled upon some pictures that were not meant for them to see. We assured our children that they were safe and loved and wanted to protect them from anything that might confuse or upset them. We taught them a lot and even told them about my past, which was in the pictures. My husband told them to not look at me in a different way or have thoughts that their mother, me, was the person they saw in the pictures. Lily and Ethan listened intently, their innocent eyes filled with confusion and concern. My husband and I reassured them that the inappropriate content had nothing to do with their family and how they should react around me, and we were doing everything they could to keep them safe from any harm of the world. We continued to emphasize the importance of trust and encouraged our children to be open and honest about any confusing or uncomfortable situations they might encounter. I love my children so much, and it would kill me in my grave to hear or see that they were treated the way I was treated by my aunt. I appreciated my husband a lot. You know, sometimes it's hard not having a father figure in your life to guide you and protect you through all life challenges. I didn't have that chance to have a relationship with my father, to a point that I agreed and submitted to everything that my aunt would say, and somehow got used to it. But my children had a chance to have a father who loved them and would do anything for them in their lives. That made my heart be at peace. I was happy that I got to share all about my past with my family, and we plan to move on and continue to be a happy and loving family. Over time, our family grew even closer as we supported one another through the emotional aftermath. We had set a meeting with David's family and shared with them everything that happened in my past. The family was devastated by the news and couldn't believe that my aunt would do that, but I was glad that they didn't judge me, but our relationship grew closer and showed me lots of love and support. The whole decided to move forward with their lives and somehow forget about the inappropriate pictures. We would continue to support each other, cherish our time together, and never forget the importance of open communication and trust. We, my husband and I, attended therapy sessions together, discussing our feelings and fears openly, and learned valuable tools to cope with the unexpected challenges we would face in the future. As the years passed, the family healed, our bond fortified by our shared experience. My husband and I became advocates for open communication and created a safe space for our children to discuss any concerns they may have. Together, we transformed a difficult situation into an opportunity for growth and resilience. That was when I started a nonprofit organization for women who went through what I had also been through with my husband's help and support, of course. I mean, we grow through what we have been through, right? So why not help other women heal and grow from what they are going through? The unintended discovery became a pivotal moment in our lives, forever reminding us of the importance of trust, love, and the strength of our family. Through our united efforts, my husband, myself, Lily, and Ethan crafted a future filled with resilience, understanding, and the unwavering support that would guide us through life's unexpected twists and turns. We realized that the true spirit of Christmas was not found in material possessions or decorations, but in the love and support of our family and friends. And even though we had faced a terrible ordeal, we knew that we would come out stronger on the other side. Without any judgments, please share with me how I can heal from this, because as much as my family and I found help mentally, but I still see that my husband hadn't forgotten about it. but he is trying so hard to hide that. What should I do?